First and foremost, I want to start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole flesh, start with the 144,000 Shalom. All right, so, you know, yesterday, I was reading Genesis, and today I was finishing up. Let's not watch El Apostle Gabar, him going into talking about our land, and us being exiled out of our land, things of that such, the diaspora, right? And being scattered all over. And then, I was watching El Apostle Heart and El Apostle Gabar Street Ministry, like the first 20 minutes. And, they was kind of going into that aspect too, reading Isaiah 14 and whatnot, And, us being brought back to our homeland, it's time to come. But, and as I was meditating in the spirit, thinking today, what lesson I should go into, through the spirit, how about Shah Shai? And I had a different title for it earlier, but today it came to me, as I meditated more and want to watch more lessons, let the spirit come upon me, title of the lesson came, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. And what I want to go into, I'm going to start in Genesis 12, right? And let me see. Genesis 12, and I start at verse 1. It says, Now the Lord Yahweh said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and go from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land where I will shew thee. His father Terah, right? His father had passed. Also, his brother Haran had passed as well. So they was in the land of Haran, not mistaken, around this time. They was in the land of Haran, and they leaving, right? And because it was if I'm not mistaken, it was a great famine that came over their land. Though I think it was a great famine that came over the land of Canaan, right? But let's see, I'll read this real fast. Let's see. Let's see, we want to start at. It's to really get the point across. I just get the point across real fast. Genesis 11:31. It says, and Terah took Abraham his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarah his daughter-in-law, and his son Abraham's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came into Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran, right? So they was in Haran, and they was going into the land of Canaan, right? So now at verse 2 it says, I will make thee a great nation. I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. It said, when I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, right? So it says, and Abraham departed as the Lord Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot was with him, his nephew, right? Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So as we read for down, the famine came in the land of Canaan, which caused him to go into Egypt, right? So he left from Haran and came to the land of Canaan, right? And as he in the land of Canaan, right? Let's see. As in the land of Canaan, down right here to verse 10, right? And it said, I'm gonna jump down to verse 7, right? And it said, and the Lord Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto the Lord Yahweh who appeared unto him. So the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. So he made his promise to Abraham and told him his seed, right? Because we know that blessing comes through that seed, right? Deuteronomy 7, when the Most High telling them, right? Canaan, right? Which was the Canaanites come from Canaan, which was Noah's son Ham. That was his son. Ham is Canaan's father, but Canaan was cursed because of Ham. What Ham did, looked upon Noah and his nakedness, right? Genesis 9, and 25 to tell he was cursed, right? And Deuteronomy 7 to tell destroy them, He destroy them when you go into his land, destroy them and things of that whatnot. And that's referring to the fact of when the Most High saved us from Egypt. Right? He saved us from Egypt under Pharaoh. We're in the wilderness. We're in the wilderness 40 years. Now he's like, yo, now it's time for you to go into your land. And as we going into our land, right? He telling them, hey, when you come upon these people, hey, destroy all these people. Destroy them. Get rid of all of them. Don't make marriages with them. None of that, right? Because you got to think, even in Ezra 9, the Most High talked about it, right? Let me go to it real fast. Bear with me. This is Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1, right? Because Most High told them to destroy these people, right? So it said, now when these things were done, the princes came to me saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, right? Meaning what? When the Most High, so he telling them they ain't separate themselves, meaning our customs, they was not following our customs. They was doing the customs of these other nations. They were doing abomination what these nations were doing, right? Got it right here in my notes, right? It's like the seraph of a nation, and the men were dating these women, they were doing abomination, right? Basically like following their ways, like not following the ways of the Most High. He said, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Egyptians, and the Amorites. And these are the people that the Most High told them to destroy. In Deuteronomy 7, the Most High told them to get rid of them, right? He said, for they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the Holy See have mingled themselves with people of those lands. And I want you to see something, right? So the Israelites, the holy people, Deuteronomy 7 6. The issue wasn't that we had these women, because you can date outside of marriage, but watch what the issue was. The issue was this, right? We start living and following their ways. That's why in Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7, starting at verse 1, on down, it's 3 to tell you, hey, don't let their daughter take your son take their daughter, because and verse 4 to tell you, because they would turn their hearts away from the Most High. And just as well as Solomon did, right? You can date outside the nation, but you gotta understand, you can't let these custom and these ways pull you out of the ways of Yahweh and Yahushua. You can't let these women turn your heart away. You can't follow their custom, doing things as such. And that's what Israel was doing, right? But going back to Genesis, right? Understanding that, the Lord promised us the land of Canaan, right? And whatnot, right? So I'm gonna go from there. I want to go to right here, 13. I'll read verse 14, right? And it says, the Lord said unto Abram, after that, Lot was separated from him, because they separated from each other, right? They having a lot. They was rich in cattle, rich in they had a lot of things, right? And Abraham telling, hey, before we disagree or get into it about it, hey, we got a lot of land here. You could take here. And Lot went into Sodom. Lot went into says it right here. And Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves with one from another, right? And Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent towards Sodom, right? So getting back to verse 14, it says, the Lord said to Abraham, and the Lord Yahweh said to Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest to thee, I will give it unto thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. And I want you to remember, this is a key piece, right? Because even as I was watching the elder, it hit me in the spirit, even going to this lesson, because I was thinking about how I was going, how I was going to go into it and understand it, right? So the Lord promised Abraham that he would bless his seed and they would have this land, right? And once again, right, when we got into this land, as you said, read second Ezra, you see our people was mingling with them, doing these things, following the way of these other nations, doing the custom. They marrying a woman who got children. They having bastard children. They marrying a woman who got children with other men and taking these kids as their own, right? But Deuteronomy 23 and 2 tell you, ain't no bastard enter into the kingdom. Not to second, third. They won't enter the kingdom at all, right? So the Most High told them to destroy them, but they didn't, right? So I want to go to Deuteronomy. I want to say, no, right? It's right here, right? Right here. So I'm gonna read verse 2, Deuteronomy 15 and verse 2, right? It says, Abram said, Lord Yahweh, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and steward of my house, and steward of my house is Eleazar of Damascus, right? So Abraham basically telling him, right? And I'll read down a little bit more. He said, Abraham said, behold, to me that has given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir, right? And behold, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thine heir. So Abraham was ready to give his, because the Most High blessed him with all these things. He telling him, hey, it's going to, you pass these down your seed, and your seed going to be like the dust of the sea. But at the time, Abraham have no children, right? So Abraham had no children. He telling me like, hey, I got my servant, I got my servant in here. You know, hey, he could be my heir, but I would tell him like, no, that can't be your heir. Your heir got to come from your seed. A heir is someone who's set to receive something, set to receive an inheritance, right? Because the Most High has blessed Abraham with all these things, the land, things as such, right? Abraham done righteous in the sight of the Lord, so he blesses him. He been there for him, right? Giving him the land, things of that such, right? Well, verse 1 right here in the latter verse, it said, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and your exceeding great reward, thy exceeding great reward. So Abraham getting a great reward for the Most High, right? So going down, Genesis 16, you know, it's talking about Hagar, and I get straight to the point, Genesis 16 and 15. Hagar is the Egyptian woman that Sarah, right? Sarah gave Hagar into Abram to bear a child, right? So it says, and Hagar bare Abraham a son, and Abraham called his son's name, which Hagar bare Ishmael. And Abraham was 80, meaning 80, and 6 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram, right? So he had a son, right? So, so now the Most High telling him like, hey, you know, you finna have another son, and this is your son, and they're gonna be called Isaac, and this is your seed shall go through, right? So, right, I'm gonna get straight to the point. You know, and Lord willing, you know, it's simple. You can go read it, things it says, but you know, history is the key factor in these things. Understanding where we come from, understand our true origin, our true history, right? Knowing these things helps strengthen your faith to understand where you come from, understand that we're the chosen people of Yahweh Shem Shah, and knowing that the Lord is not slack concerning His promise, because our seed is heavy, as we read, right? You know, Genesis, what was that? What is that? Genesis 13. Slack it. Hold up. Exactly. No. All right. Hold. Genesis 30. Slack. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. So, so verse 16 to tell you how, you know, the seed gonna be numerous. All right. So, slack. Excuse me for the interruption. I had lost my point real fast. Okay. Going back to 16. So he bare Ishmael, right? So now getting back to the point, you know, he had a son. So now, right here, Genesis 17 and verse. I started at 17, right? Because at this time, I get straight to the point 19. So at this time, Abraham's up in age. He's like 100 years old. And Sarah, she's 90. She's like 90. Yes, she's 90 years old. Abraham, like, you know, most I tell him, like, hey, right? Right here, Genesis 17:19, it tells him, it said, and Yahweh said, Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee. And it's like a quick point too as well. Abraham name was changed from Abram to Abraham, meaning father of many nations. And Sarah, her name was changed because Sarah meaning my princess, and Sarah meaning princess, right? So Genesis 17:19, right? It says, and Yahweh said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son, indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for the everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Right? He said, as for Ishmael, Abraham's first son, right? As for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and multiply him exceedingly. To a prince he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this same time next year. So he established his covenant with Isaac, and you understand that seed going through Isaac, right? So now Abraham, now the hair, Isaac is his heir, the one who's set to receive his inheritance, right? Then you go to Genesis 25 and verse, Genesis 25 and 23, where Abraham, Isaac had Esau and Jacob, right? Esau had the birthright, but he sold it for a raw piece of meat, right? And after that, you know, right? Real fast right here. Let's see. I'll get straight to the point. Genesis 25 and 23 says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. The one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Esau was the first to come out. Jacob, Esau held on to Jacob held on to Esau's heel as he come out. They bruised their head. They're gonna bruise their heel, right? Bruise their head, meaning now we in these low places because we really the top. But right now, Jake is in these low places, man. We're not in our position because why? We're not in our homeland. But the Lord is not slack concerning our promise, because as his seed is being multiplied, right? Once again, as we read, right, Ezra 9, when the Most High brought us into the land, right? I'm gonna bring this point out real fast before I go to Deuteronomy, because when you understand it, right, just showing you how we even came into Egypt, right? We came into Egypt because Jacob went into Egypt because at the time a famine came through the land, right? A famine came through the land, and right? And when this famine came into the land, Egypt basically had, right? Egypt basically had like the things that they needed. Those, like, because Jacob was sending his sons over there. He was sending his sons over there to go buy corn or whatnot, whatever, just for food for them to survive because of the famine in the land, right? And so Egypt having these things. So the Most High tells Jacob go into Egypt, right? This is Genesis 46 and verse 3. He said, I am Yahweh, the power of thy father. Fear not to go down to Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation, right? I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thy eye, because Joseph was in Egypt because his brothers was basically like hating on him. It's like a better word. His brother was hating on him, right? So they faked like he died or whatnot, and they gave him to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites sold him to the Egyptians, right? But the Most High was with Joseph when he was down there. So Joseph had good ranking down there, and Joseph was the one. When you read about it, Joseph was the one that was selling the corn and whatnot, right? So as they go down to Egypt, right? They leave from Canaan and go down to Egypt. When you understand, right, it was 70 souls that came with them, right? Genesis 46 and 27, right? It says, and the sons of Joseph, which were born in Egypt, which is Manasseh and Ephraim, right? And Ephraim being that head tribe of the northern kingdom, right? Joseph and Ephraim, the words interchangeable. You can read about that in Numbers. I forgot what chapter. Read about that in Numbers. Lord willing. Matter of fact, I know I can find it real fast. Let's see. Yeah, Numbers 1 and 32, right? Numbers 1 and 32. But going back to it, right? See, right here, this is a really quick point. It's like this spirit right here, right? Genesis 42 and 25, right? He said, when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, why do you look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. And Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob, sent not with his brethren, right? For he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan, right? So it's the famine was in the land of Canaan. And you see right here, Joseph was the governor of the land, and it was that sold to all the people, and it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth, right? You know, so they ain't even slick recognized because he's older now. But the point is, right, going back to 46, right, when he came into Egypt, right, Joseph, the sons of Joseph were born in Egypt and were two souls, right, Manasseh and Ephraim, and all the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were three score, meaning, three or score meaning 20, so 60 and 10, so that's 70. It's 70 souls that came into there with. He came into Egypt with Jacob, right? So the Most High told him he gonna multiply them. He promised to see. He promised it to Abraham. He promised it to, he promised it to Isaac, and then, he promised it also to Jacob as well, right? That he would go out to the top. He told him, "I'll multiply your seed there." If I'm not mistaken, Judah had I know Canaan had Joseph had an Egyptian woman. Judah ended up meeting the Egyptian woman as well. If I'm not mistaken, I was reading about that earlier. He had sons, but I think like two of his sons had died, right? And right. But the point being, right, when we read this right here, Genesis 48 and 21, it says, "And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but Yahweh shall be with you and bring you again to the land of your fathers." The Most High is not slack concerning his promise, right? And I went over this precept. I'm finna go back to it, right? Then we're gonna go to Deuteronomy. But the reason I'm just showing you the history of, us coming into, how we came into Egypt, how the Most High came when we was in Egypt, and at that point we end up being enslaved in Egypt, right? Pharaoh ended up taking us. And also, matter of fact, I want to say. I want to say, that Bilpah and Zilpah, let me search it up. Bilpah and Zilpah, two of Jacob wives was, let's see. Bill. Let's see. Okay, they were not Egyptians. They were not Egyptians, but they was the maids, right? But Lucky, excuse me real fast. Go outside and grab some. Excuse me, I had to grab some food. Right. But I was looking to see was Zilpah and Bilpah I know Joseph, one of his wife was Egyptian, right? But all right, so the point being, right, going back, so the Most High is not slack concerning his promise. He told them they see what expand things up. things and whatnot. But getting back to it now, now we in Egypt, we end up being taken captive in Egypt, right? Being slaves or whatnot. So, at that point, right, we get to here, right? So when we in Egypt, the Most High, when the Most High saved us from Egypt, right? So this is right here, Deuteronomy 7:1. It said, "When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whether thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hezites, the Grashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hevitites, and the Jebusites, and 7 nations greater and mightier than thou," right? So I want to bring my notes on this to show you, right? So it's talking about Israelite, this Most High telling Moses to tell the Israelite what they're going to do. We left Egypt. We was in the wilderness for 40 years. The Most High said we was in the wilderness enough. We're going to possess the land. The place was going to be filled with people. The people were Canaanites, right? Most High didn't want us to have no parts with them any type of way. Just destroy them. Destroy the Most High was only dealing with Israel, right? So, going back to Ezra 7, the people did not separate themselves, meaning the people did not separate their customs, their ways. They was doing the abomination of these nations that was in the land, right? And they was taking their sons and daughters. They was marrying the sons and daughters, things of that whatnot, right? So and that's disrespecting to the Most High, right? So when these things are going on, right? When these things are going on, right? This right here, it shows, right? I want to go to Deuteronomy 4, right? The Most High knew these things were going on, right? So this Deuteronomy 4:5, right? It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgment, even as the Lord Yahweh my power has commanded. My power commanded me that ye should do so in the land where you go and possess it." So we was given the laws and commandments, right? This is America. We was given the laws and commandments to follow when we get into this land, but our people did not follow them, right? So it says, "Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom, your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely the great nation is a wise and understanding people." So this is what this goes into Deuteronomy, like in Romans 7. The law is holy, man. Holy meaning separate. This is what separates us from the other people. The Most High gave us the things that are pleasing unto Him, the righteous things, to separate these evil works from the good works. Right? For us to do the righteous works, us to do the righteous things. We got the blueprint to do the righteous things, but our people did not do that. Right? So this is going down to Deuteronomy 4. I'm jumping down to verse 25. It says, "When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, thy power, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over into Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Lord shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the works of man's hands, wood and stone, neither which see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But if from thence thou seek the Lord Yahweh, seek the Lord Yahweh thy power, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy power, thou shalt be obedient to his voice. For the Lord thy power is a merciful. The Lord Yahweh thy power is a merciful power. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy father which he sware unto thee. Right? So let's go into this precept. I don't think I brought it out yet. In Genesis, I want to say it's 21, right? Oh, it ain't 21. Let's see what it is. Bear with me. Yeah, here it is right here, Genesis 26-25. So this is the Most High, talking to Isaac, right? And he telling him, right? Genesis 25 and it's like Genesis 26 and 3, right? It says, "Sojourn in this land, I will be with thee, and will bless thee, for unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father, and I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge and my commandments and my statutes and my laws. Right? Watch what this say in my notes right here. You can't receive the promises if you're not keeping the commandments. And that's how the Spirit hit me in this lesson, understanding that the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. The Most High promised through our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? But our people do not follow in the ways of our forefathers, right? What is that? Let's see. This is Jeremiah 6 and 16, right? It said, this saith the Lord Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old path, where is the good way, and walk therein, you shall find rest for your souls, right? But they said we would not walk therein. They're not walking the ways of our fathers, right? They're walking the ways of the other nations, walking the ways of the other people, right? So that caused us, as we read in Deuteronomy 4, that caused us the Most High to scatter us out that land, to move us from that land, right? But understanding that in these latter in time to come, the Most High is going to put us back into that land. The Most High never wanted to destroy our people, right? The Most High didn't want to do that to us. But the Most High is not slack concerning his promise. But the people in order to receive the promise, you got to do the righteous works, man, right? You know, this labor is not in vain, right? He set this thing up. He set it up for our people to be. He set it up for our people to have it all, supposed to be pampered. But Jeremiah 49:12 tell you, those who drunken of the cup was certainly not to drink, right? We drunken of that cup of that fornication, that wine, right? Drunken of that wickedness, man, going off, right? Doing the things that we don't supposed to do, right? Therefore, that caused us to be, caused the diaspora, caused us to be scattered all over, caused us to be exiled out of our land, right? But in due time, the Most High is going to put us back into our land, right? Which is Isaiah 14:1. It's like, excuse me, it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them. And that word Jacob, right? Word Jacob is interchangeable with Israel, right? You know, Jacob's name was changed to Israel, right? Meaning Prince of Power, but also interchangeable with Judah. That's why you see it right here where it says, will yet choose, have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, because it's two kingdoms, right? And Lord willing, and Lord, in due time, the kingdoms will be brought back together. But you know, you got the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom is Judah, Benjamin, Levi. You got northern kingdom beginning with Ephraim, and you know the rest of the tribes, right? It says, the Lord will yet have mercy. It's like, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, meaning the other Israelites, right? The Israelites in the foreign state of mind, right? I got it right here in my notes. A stranger is Israelite in that Gentile state of mind, being woken up, right? So it said, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave into the house of Jacob, right? So the Most High is going to take Israel and set them in their own land. But you got to understand, a lot of people got to go through that. A lot of people got to go through that distress. A lot of people got to go through that, you know. Let me see. Recheck. Knowledge. Yeah, Hosea 4:6, right? So my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children, right? As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Deuteronomy 4. As you have children and children's children, you will begin to corrupt yourselves, man. And that's what the people did. The Most High is not slack concerning his promise. That's why the scriptures say, have the Most High have right here. That's why the scriptures say Romans 11, right? Romans 11:1 is Paul talking, where he said, I say then, hath Yahweh cast away his people? Yahweh forbid, right? For I am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So the Most High never cast away his people. It's just that this truth is only for the elect, man. Only the elect will be able to see it. And that's all Israel will be brought into the kingdom, but they'll be brought back through the elect seed. You know, the elect being Yahushua, right? King David, and the elect, right? Those ones who return back, that remnant, the ones who understand his doctrine, the ones who understand the true knowledge of true history, right? I watched the Elder Pascal Bar lesson earlier. He said something that stuck with me, right? He said, you know, how these higher ups, you know, these higher ups, elites of Esau, they know who we are. That's why they try to hide our history and rewrite history and try to fake like our history is theirs, right? Once again, what he said was, in order to make up a lie, you got to know the truth. See, we have the truth through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shah, right? The camp GMS beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Warrior Apostle, going on down. Things were not, the sincere brothers and the sincere brothers and teachers in the truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah, GMS with the 100% truth. We have the truth. So now we're able to see our history, understand these things, understand why we were exiled out of our land, understand when we came into our land what things happened for us to be in this position, and understand that the Most High is not slack concerning His promise. It's just that our people never did what He said for us to do. So therefore, He had to get it right. If you give your child a phone and you tell him, hey, if you give your child a phone and you tell him, hey, when you get your phone, you got to keep your grades up, and the child never keeps his grades up, then you're gonna take the phone. Then eventually the child grades they still don't get right. So guess what? You just gonna keep the phone until he get right. You just gonna take the phone from him completely until he fixes himself. That's what the Most High doing with us, right? The Most High gave us a chance to get right, threw us into captivity, and our people still ain't right. Our people still haven't turned back to His word, turned back to His knowledge. But only the elect will. That's why He only dealing with His elect. Right here, Romans 11:7. It says, "What then? Hath Israel not obtained what he seeketh for? But the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded." Right? Because the elect obtained His knowledge and obtained the things that Yahweh shall allow us to understand, going from the true history, going from the mysteries and the spiritual things that's in His book. Understand through the Spirit that the Israelites are the chosen people through the seed Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? But He's only coming back for His elect though. Deuteronomy 7:6. We are His chosen people, and He didn't choose us because of number. Back when once again we just read when Jacob went into Egypt, it was like 70 souls, man. He didn't choose us because we were more in number, right? Let's see. Going back to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 7:8, right? It said the Lord Yahweh did not set His love upon you nor choose you because you were more in number than any people. For you were the fewest of all people. And you had a lot of nations that was established on the earth already, man. You had a lot of nations that was established under the earth, man. That's why we was always nomadic, moving here and there. But now the Most High gave us this land to possess. And He told us to destroy these people and don't do the things of these nations. He gave us, going back to Deuteronomy 4, we read, I want to say that's verse 5 and 6. He gave us the laws and commandments and statutes to do. And these people will see us and say, oh, these are upright people. These people are doing righteous things. That's why He said, "Let your light shine." We supposed to be doing the righteous thing. We got the things that's pleasing to the Most High. We got the laws and commandments. Psalms 147, 19 and 20. He haven't dealt so with any other nation. And we supposed to use those laws and commandments to separate right from wrong, good from evil, man. We supposed to use those things, but what? Our people do not know. The people do not listen to the Most High. Our people do not even know His laws and commandments, man. They run around here in these churches saying it's 10 commandments, right? I want to say it's 613 laws, right? Let's see. Yeah, man, 613 laws. They talking about it's 10 commandments, man. They don't know the Most High, right? But this is Deuteronomy 7:8, right? It says, but because the Lord Yahweh loved you, and because He would keep His oath, He will keep the oath. The Lord is not slack concerning His promise. Because the Lord loved you, and because He would keep the oath which He has sworn unto your fathers. So the people not walking in the ways of our fathers, why He said, you worship wood and stone which your fathers have not known. Right? He said, hath the Lord, so He has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Right? One of my favorite precepts to bring it out, and one of my favorites right here is Ecclesiastes 2 and verse 10, right? It says, look at the generations of old and see, did any ever trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in His fear and was forsaken, or whom did He ever despise that called upon Him? In Genesis, I want to say either 22 or 23, where Most High told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, and Abraham was going to do it. Abraham was going to do it, understanding that the Most High was going to He was going to resurrect Isaac without even seeing it, because he had faith in Him, but and the Most High told him, right? You don't got to do it. You show that you fear the Lord. Beginning of wisdom begins with fear. Fear is the beginning of knowledge and wisdom, man. Right? If people don't fear Him, you don't have no faith, you don't understand His power. You understand He can get these things done. right? You understand that fear, understand he got the power to do good and evil. He got the power to do what he want to do. But you have faith to understand that he's merciful and that he's not slack concerning his promise. That's why we do our part of the promise. And what that means, the elect do their part, right? What is it said he loved you, right? Deuteronomy 7:8 says he loved you, right? Who is that you, right? So this is Romans 9 and I'll start at verse 7. It says, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but Isaac shall thy seed be called. You know, Abraham had 8 sons, right? And Isaac shall thy seed be called, which we read, right? It says, that is that which are the children of the flesh. It's like that is they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of Yahweh, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. For this is the word of the promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. When she had Isaac. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, right? Genesis 25, as you read, right? 2 man nation in our womb. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to the election might stand. Not of works, but of him that calleth. The Most High chose it. He said it this way, man. You know, it was said unto us, the elder shall serve the younger. And as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated, man. Right? It says, what shall we then say? Is there unrighteous with Yahweh? Yahweh forbid. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy on, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion on. Right? I will have mercy on Jacob and we yet choose Israel, man. Most High chose us, right? Because our forefathers before us, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, did the righteous thing that unto him. So what do you think we got to do? Jeremiah 6:16. Find the old path. But the people, but what did it also say? They said they will not walk therein. They ain't gonna do the righteous work. They ain't gonna do the righteous thing. They want to do their own way, and that's why the Most High gonna destroy them, right? But the elect, that remnant, they obtain it and they do it and they strive to the best of their abilities in it. You know, our labor is not in vain, man. In due time, you know, once again, another I like to use, you go cut this grass, I promise I'll give you this. You can't expect to receive the promise if you never cut the grass. So therefore you cut that grass so you can expect to see that promise. Deuteronomy 28:15. Thou shalt hearken to the Lord thy power. Right? You shall do these things, roughly paraphrasing, you'll receive the promise. If you don't do these things, you don't receive the curses. And that's why the curses are upon us, man. Right? But Lord willing, the Most High told us, man, you know, that's why he sent Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai came and reconciled us back into the promise. So now we're not judged by the law, right? Now we're not judged by the law, right? But we still strive to the law to the best of our ability. But now we judged by faith. Now we saved by faith and grace. But it ain't. You still gotta do the works, for lack of better words, man. We show our faith through our works. We can't be a talker where you gotta be a doer of the word. You can't just know this knowledge and think you good. You gotta do the work, man. Right? You got to do the work and put in the work behind it, right? So this is 2 Peter 3 in verse 9, right? It says, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish. Most High don't want any to perish, right? But that all should come to repentance. You need to repent. Most High got a promise to say. He told Abraham, bless his seed. He not slack to his promise. He not a liar, man. Just as said, let all men be a liar. What is that? Romans 3, right? Was that Romans 3? Yeah, Romans 3:4. It said, Yahweh forbid. Yeah, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sin and might overcome when thou art judged. Right? Understand that the Most High not lying. He told Abraham, bless his seed through the forefather, but the people chose not to walk in the ways of. He's not slack on his promise, but you got to do your part, do your works, right? So Lord willing, the lesson was edifying and exalting, man. You know, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole flesh, start with the 144,000. Shalom.